Hey there, Attack Wing players. This is going to be an OP8 battle report for the arena. My fleet I'm going to be running today is going to be 2 Borg spheres. I'm giving up the planet, so I'm only leaving drones on there. And I'm using the reinforcement sideboard for Picard, so I'll have some captain skill after the battle. I did make a few mistakes here since it was rushed due to the late ruling change on the scenario. So I really should have left off a Breen 8 or the Romulan pilot, so I wouldn't be at 100 points. The first build I'm going to be facing tonight is a Voyager slingshot build. This build was built to throw Dukat in the front in round 1 with some extra movement so he can get transphasic torpedoes off round 1. Unfortunately, it did not work against me, and the next turn I was able to just quickly assimilate those torpedoes. In the first round, he couldn't get a target lock on the only ship he had an arc on because his action had to be before his extra movement. So I ended up stealing the transphasic torpedoes from him and then focusing down, just all of my firepower on the Voyager. He had Janeway on the Defiant and kept using things like, double evade tokens and stuff. So the Voyager just made an easier target. Before the captain's battle happened, you can see that I lost that terribly, but Voyager and one of the spheres did go down from pure damage. After that, it was just one sphere versus the Defiant. I had plenty of time to pull all of my resources off my sideboard that I needed, Picard, Bohica, and really just, even 45, 50 points loaded on the Defiant with a flagship just isn't enough to compete with Jean-Luc Picard, Bohica on a sphere. It took only 2 rounds of firing to finish him off, and that was round 1. Alright, in the next round I faced a fairly new player. He was running a 3-ship build. It had a decent amount of firepower. I used my strategy of creeping up behind the planet so he couldn't get good arcs on me. This allowed me to avoid a lot of shots, and then as he tried to turn around and get me back in arc, I was able to steal his dorsal weapons array. He only managed to get 2 hits on me, and then as you can see here, the Borg spheres with their superior mobility were able to just go wherever they wanted all the way out of his firing arcs. I did of course lose the captain's battle, so he reset the board, and I proceeded to return to the sideboard and pull Picard off to try to get my big sphere damage going. He decided to turn and focus on the damage sphere, which I was not putting my reinforcements on. So we did a little dance around the planet. He kept trying to focus fire it down. He came within 2 hull damage here, and my strategy from then on was just to keep running as far out of arc as possible and regenerate damage over and over again. Since one of my spheres was already behind this fleet and easily took out the Vorcha that was lagging behind, it was pretty easy to just try to keep out of range and just keep firing. I pulled a fast left maneuver with Picard, even though it gave him an auxiliary token, just so he could get into arc and start taking some of the fire. The regenerate actions on my other sphere helped a lot because it actually survived by just a mere 1 hit point. And then in the final round, with just 1 sphere versus the Galgathong went down in 1 hit. And that was the end of that game. Both my spheres ended up surviving. Alright, round 3 is where we really see where some of my mistakes come back to haunt me. Because I was running 100 points and not 99 or fewer points like I should have, the 99-point list I was facing had initiative on me, making my energy dissipator all but worthless against the sphere, which Picard was going to be captaining for the entire game. I did not set up strictly behind the planet, but I did manage to get in range of just one of his ships, barely. He did make a mistake in bumping the planet with his sphere, which saved me a couple shots, but I mean that was not something I should have been able to depend on. His 1 Klingon vessel managed to survive 13 dice with its cloak and 4 hull, and that was a pretty terrible situation for me. My movement after the captain's battle was finished, I should have either come straight forward or gone off to the side too. But as it was, I was still in range of 2 arcs of 2 of his ships, and that was really that extra damage that doomed that sphere from that point on. I managed to take out the ship from before, but again, the second Klingon ship managed to survive with one hull remaining, and that was unlucky for me. And unfortunately, Picard was just not quite ever at the right range to only shoot one and not be shot back by both. So the combined firepower of the two last ships ended up taking down my last Picard Sphere. Alright, that was the report from the arena. Hopefully we will learn from our mistakes, and in the future we will hope that Q is more generous with our dice. Remember, resistance is futile.